can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So, a good performance from both teams.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show started. On the show today, the South African country joins in the anti-Afghanistan sentiments as Champions Trophy nears. Will the ICC be forced to make heed to all the noise surrounding boycotting the games against Afghanistan next month? Where do matters stand at this point? That is coming up. Novak Djokovic has finally opened up about the horrifying experience at the Australian Open campaign that he had in 2022. Says he was poisoned by the country before he left. What happened back then, and will Djokovic be able to overcome the emotional turmoil to start the year on a resounding note? And surprise, surprise, sports consumers in America trust products endorsed by the female superstars more than their male counterparts, who are icons no less. How so? Details ahead, but first a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, Indian batter KL Rahul has made himself unavailable for the white ball series against England. This is starting later this month. KL Rahul has reportedly told the BCCI to exempt him from the series. The home series comprises of 5 T20 internationals and 3 one-day internationals. KL Rahul will be available for the Champions Trophy though, which starts next month. Over in football, Real Madrid beat Mallorca 3-0 in the Super Copa semi-final. After a goalless first half, Jude Bellingham scored the opening goal in the 63rd minute. Madrid then added 2 goals in stoppage time. The final will be an El Clasico fixture. Madrid will face arch-rivals Barcelona on the 13th of January. On to tennis. World number 2 Iga Świątek has broken her silence on the doping scandal. Świątek said she had considered revealing the result even before it was made public. The 23-year-old refrained from doing so because of the sensitivity of the matter. Świątek was banned for a month after testing positive. In chess, American Grandmaster Hans Niemann has thrown a $1 million challenge to the top 2 FIDE-ranked players, Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. This after Niemann was ranked #1 blitz player at chess.com. Niemann also said if Carlsen is scared of the challenge, he needs to issue a public apology. This because in 2022, Carlsen had accused Niemann of cheating in an online tournament. And the NFL has moved the wild card playoff game between Los Angeles Rams and Minnesota Vikings to Arizona. This is because of the devastating wildfires in the Los Angeles area. The decision was taken after fires broke out a few miles away from Rams' training complex. The game will now be played on the 14th of January at the home stadium of Arizona Cardinals. Champions Trophy is just some weeks away, but every day only brings in more drama, getting the excitement levels high and the nerves on tenterhooks. The one controversy that is gaining momentum now is that South Africa has joined in on the call to boycott Afghanistan, putting all the pressure right back onto the ICC to take action. Now, Afghanistan men's cricket team has had a phenomenal last 1 year. They punched above their weight, particularly in ICC events. They impressed everyone with their fighting spirit at the ODI World Cup in 2023. That's how they managed to qualify for the Champions Trophy in 2025. The top 8 teams play each other at the Champions Trophy. In fact, that's how they just about made it. But those smiles, those cheers and all of that you witnessed just some moments back may die down because trouble is brewing for the Afghan cricket team. It started some days ago when around 160 politicians in England got together and sent a strong petition to the ECB, the England and Wales Cricket Board, to take a stand at the Champions Trophy and boycott the game against Afghanistan. The matter even got the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, to weigh in.
The ICC should clearly deliver on their own rules and make sure that they're supporting women's cricket as the ECB do. The erosion of women's and girls' rights by the Taliban is clearly appalling. We'll work with the ECB on this issue.
But the ECB gave a measured response, saying that they alone could not take this call as it is an ICC event. The directive has to come from the International Cricket Council. And now, of course, joining in on the anti-Afghanistan sentiment and noise is a country that knows what it feels like to be ostracized and sidelined: South Africa.
Public support for a boycott was a position that I feel morally bound to support, despite the complications of Afghanistan's recent and tragic history. It is not for me to make the final decision on whether South Africa should honour cricketing fixture against Afghanistan. If it was my decision, then it certainly would not happen.
A country that has witnessed apartheid, a country that fought apartheid, recognizes the oppression that women in Afghanistan are being subjected to. So they, for one, do not wish to play any team that represents Afghanistan.
As a man who comes from a race that was not allowed equal access to sporting opportunities during apartheid, it would be hypocritical to look the other way today when the same is being done towards women.
So what does the format look like when it comes to the Champions Trophy? Now, it's quite simple. The teams are divided into two groups of 4 because there are top 8 teams there. One group has India, New Zealand, Pakistan, and of course Bangladesh. And the other group has Afghanistan, Australia, England, South Africa. They play each other, and needless to say, the top 2 make it to the semi-finals. And then, of course, you've got the finals. This is exactly how it plays out. Now, you want to know what's interesting in this grouping is that all 3 countries that have been grouped alongside Afghanistan have by now showed their displeasure and dissent in wanting to play Afghanistan in some form or the other. England, we just said that through their politicians. South Africa right now have also voiced their concerns through their sports minister. And of course, starting it off was Australia. They, in fact, were the first to really put their foot down when it came to entertaining Afghanistan men's cricket team. Cricket Australia, who prides in equality, especially in sport, refused to play Afghanistan in bilateral series not once, but twice. That, of course, sparked massive outrage. It created quite a few fallouts and repercussions. Rashid Khan, the star player of Afghanistan, refused to play the Big Bash League over in Australia. Certain critics, of course, also ended up calling Australia hypocrites. They said that the country still played Afghanistan at the ODI World Cup, in fact producing a scintillating match that went down to the wire, one of the best encounters in the tournament itself. But the matter is now firmly in the corridors of the ICC or the International Cricket Council. The job of a governing body is to ensure equal opportunity and fairness to all. That's why they survey and supervise the running of the sport. The laws and the rules in the ICC clearly states that the sport has to be played by all, in this case, men and women. Any country that has failed to uphold this has gone against the ICC, gone against the rule of the sport. Will more voices come out now against Afghanistan, and will the ICC be forced to take note of the growing unrest or even address it? Watch this space for more. Novak Djokovic will kickstart his 2025 Grand Slam campaign over the weekend. The quest to end a slamless 2024 starts in Melbourne. And it is at a slam that has given Djokovic nightmares over the last few years at least. And just as he landed in Australia, it looks like he's been haunted by the ghosts of Melbourne. Before he takes the court in his first encounter, Djokovic has unlocked a Pandora's box, saying he was poisoned in this very city back in 2022. Djokovic and Australia have a love-hate relationship. We know that by now. This is the arena where the Serb has ironically won the most number of titles, the iconic Rod Laver Arena. Fans love him and probably don't as much too, but the night with Novak was most attended. It was a sold-out event which saw fans from all over the world coming in to see the former world number 1 try and overcome his demons.
Well, he's always been my lifetime idol and I've always loved him.
Yeah, he's just the best.
Novak, we love you, Novak. Volley Novak.
The love, the adulation, and all the cheers that you're seeing here, of course, is from a lot of his own people. But that will not be able to wipe out what Djokovic experienced back in 2022. He was denied permission to participate in the Australian Open that year. The Serb had his visa cancelled and was eventually kicked out of the country. This over his refusal to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, after so many years, Djokovic has finally opened up about that episode. In an interview, he claimed that he was poisoned before deportation.
I was fed some food that poisoned me. I had discoveries when I came back to Serbia. I never told this to anybody publicly. I had a high level of heavy metal. I had lead, a very high level of lead and mercury.
Sounds disturbing, but the Serb has finally spoken on the matter after 3 years. So why the silence and why keeping quiet for so long? Maybe it was coming back here after a 2024 that has been very difficult for the Serb. The emotional baggage of starting the year here again probably got him back to where things had been dark in 2022. Now, it has been a very rare 2024 for Novak Djokovic. He ended the year without a Grand Slam title, parted ways with his longtime coach Goran Ivanisevic, got injured along the way, had to undergo surgery to his knee. Not a pretty year at all. In fact, the only bright spark was an Olympic gold. So coming back here after a significantly traumatic year only opened his old wounds up.
The last couple of times that I landed in Australia to go through passport control and immigration, I had a bit of trauma from 3 years ago. The person checking my passport, are they going to take me, detain me again, or let me go? I must admit, I have that feeling.
The Aussie crowd has been a little warm in their welcome so far, at least. There has been a lot of excitement over Djokovic's campaign because in his box will be another star player who's shared some memorable moments at these very courts here. Andy Murray's probably added that ammunition for Djokovic to armor him up for the year to come.
Side of the net is actually great for a change because he's been one of my greatest rivals. At the beginning, it was a bit of a strange feeling to be able to share the insights with him. Not just about the game, but about how I feel about life in general. Now all cards are open on the table.
Well, it's not just Andy Murray who seems to be in Djokovic's corner. He seems to have found a new supporter in local boy Nick Kyrgios. The Aussie tennis star recently returned to the sport after a 2-year break, and he did that by playing doubles alongside Djokovic at Brisbane. And that partnership is now converting into one of mutual admiration. So much so that Kyrgios has backed Novak over his own country in the whole poisoning episode.
I haven't spoken to him. I didn't even know that, but I'll stand on. We treated him like that's for sure. We shouldn't have done that.
On the face of it, it seems like pockets of Australia, the crowd at least, seems to be backing the Serb for now. After the horrific 2022 year, that campaign, the love from fans, support from some of his rivals, and the possibility of a nostalgic 11th Australian Open title has all made it quite an emotional comeback for Djokovic. But will this be enough, really, for him to regain lost ground and finally get that elusive Grand Slam title? The overwhelming last few days, flying back here, and of course the big moment, walking right back onto the Rod Laver Arena, is all going to get very sentimental. Yes, he won the Australian Open in 2023, but that year seemed, and of course it was a year after the whole deportation drama, but that particular year was all about redemption. He probably hadn't had the time to reflect on the details of what happened to him and the trauma that it had cost him. Had not yet opened up about the tough mental battles that he had had to endure. Today he stands in Australia in front of an Aussie crowd, and they can be quite partisan as well, having accused the country of poisoning him. The spotlight is definitely on him. The whole world will be watching. Can he overcome this mental barrier to go where no one has gone before? Would you be swayed by a product endorsed by Rafael Nadal or Serena Williams. Well, it seems like a whole country is swinging towards the tech products endorsed by women superstar athletes. A new study reveals that female athletes are creating stronger emotional connections with consumers in the United States of America than their male counterparts, who are icons. In a country that has never shown faith in female leaders, what different are these athletes doing that's won them over, that presidential candidates like Kamala Harris couldn't? A report.
One of the trickiest markets to crack in the United States is sports. A nation obsessed with American football, basketball, and baseball. A country boasting of legendary names. Athletes like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Shohei Ohtani, and Tyreek Hill drive popular fan culture. But does that translate onto the consumer market? You'd be surprised. The popularity of women athletes seem to be overshadowing the male athletes of the country. A new study conducted by a business intelligence company has found out that U.S. consumers are likely to buy a tech product from a female athlete, then from their just as popular superstar male counterpart. So products endorsed by tennis legend Serena Williams, Olympic star Simone Biles, and WNBA rising superstar Caitlin Clark is attracting more consumers in USA. More than some of the recognized names like Michael Phelps, Rafael Nadal, and Caleb Williams. So what does this study say? USA trusts their female athletes more than the male. But what's ironic is the fact that this is the same country that has never had a female president, a country that has never given a woman a chance to lead them. Just last year, Kamala Harris was close to overturning that notion, but the U.S. voters made sure the history remained intact. So when it comes to having a female head of the state, the U.S. audience may seem uncertain. Contrastingly, in the consumer market, they seem to have more confidence in their female athletes. So what is the reason behind it? The answer here is politics too. While Harris couldn't convince the voters that she is the right candidate, the women's sporting icons are not only convincing the consumers of their credibility, but also making them trust in their sports endorsements. Let's start with Serena Williams. Known for her unmatched power on the tennis court, Serena's star power is not hidden. Arguably one of the greatest athletes from USA, she not only endorses sports tech brands, but has also invested in other sports tech companies through Serena Ventures. Her influence reaches far beyond the sporting realm. The same goes with Simone Biles. While she is one of the greatest Olympians in US history, her remarkable spirit off the court has wowed everyone. From taking a mental break due to sexual abuse at the Tokyo Olympics to bouncing back with 4 medals at the Paris Games, Biles showed that she isn't just one of the greatest gymnasts, but has the mental strength like nobody else. And while Biles rose through her own struggles, Clark has advocated on issues present in women's basketball. Despite earning an insane rookie contract, Clark has considered this as her privilege and has highlighted the struggles of black athletes in basketball, reviving how women's basketball is viewed in the country. Consumers today want more than just a product. They want a story, a mission, and an athlete who embodies the values they stand for. And the women athletes from USA seem to have succeeded in convincing the consumers just that.
Time for Last Serve. Bruce Lee's traditional martial arts skills came to life in Hong Kong. Watch hundreds of fans try their hand at martial arts with weapons that were famously used by Bruce Lee in his films himself. Looks like quite the entertaining day there for everyone, all his fans for sure. That wraps it up here on First Sports. Hope you have a lovely weekend. I'll see you again on Monday for a fresh new week of First Sports. Bye-bye. Take care.